Hi, thank you so much for the great response for the last video. I'm literally just doing this as a passion project, and it's been really nice to see so many people talk to me about it and encourage me with it. So in the meantime, I finished reading this book, which is a series of short stories by George Saunders. As you can see, it's got a really pretty cover. These are all my notes on this book. I write book reports for fun. I found out about George Saunders when I was looking to doing an MFA at Syracuse University, and he is a creative writing teacher there. I researched the shit out of him. I found some of his stories online, and I also found some of the same stories in here. I bought this book from Dimmicks. George Saunders is only the second American ever to win a Man Booker Prize, but he hasn't won it for this. He won it for Lincoln in the Bardo. Like I said, it's a short story collection. It's got 6 short stories in it. I love a short story collection because often, like, you don't have time to read, you have heaps going on, it's just like life is getting in the way. But like if you have like even 20 minutes or 30 minutes, you can get through a whole story, which is what I like. I like having a complete narrative arc in the little amounts of time that I actually have to read my books. So the series of short stories is satirical and is very postmodern in the way it's written, in the stuff, blah, and what's in the contents of the stories themselves. It's also very contemporary American fiction. I would say it's weird as well, so it's like Raymond Carver meets Vonnegut. I'm also trying to do this without any spoilers, and it's really hard to talk about short stories without spoilers because it's in the name, it's a short story. So like I said, this has 6 short stories. My top 3 out of these 6 stories is Pastoralia. Pastoralia is about a man living in like a simulated environment where he is a caveman and he has a female counterpart as well, and they're not allowed to interact with each other in English. They're only allowed to make grunts. Yeah, just be primitive, and they're sent goats to kill, and if they behave badly or like if they break any laws by talking in English, they lose rations and they just have to like live off of crackers. And in their little home areas, they have a fax machine, and at the end of every day they have to report on their partner. The upper management in this amusement park seems awful because it gets to a point where they now want to charge these people money because who clearly are doing this because they're in need of money. Now we're gonna charge you for even disposing of your shit even though you're working here. Classic upper management. Okay, when I say shit, sorry, it's actual poo. Like, it's human feces. But yeah, it's really nice to see the lengths people will go within almost a capitalist, consumerist environment to make money when they obviously have no choice, and yeah, they're in dire need of it. That's a really, really good story. I would recommend it. The next one is called Winky. It's about a mediocre man living a mediocre life with his sister, who seems a bit quirky, but she loves him very, very much. And it's written in such a way where it's like one scene with the brother and then one scene with the sister, and you can see how they think of each other differently, where she is in anticipation for her brother to come home, whereas he is at this weird seminar which seems horribly culty, and there are different stages where they're constantly telling you how to like get rid of the negative people in your life. It's not actually good, emotionally sound advice, and I think they do it because this cult really like seems to cater to the mediocre man with issues, or the mediocre person with clearly some issues that they have not resolved healthily, or they don't know how to approach healthily. And this cult basically just keeps charging people money. It's basically consumerism for what they think is going to lead them to a better life, and it just preys on people's sentiments, which I guess lots of things do. So the next story I'm going to talk about is Sea Oak. I actually figured that I'd read this story before once I started reading it. I really, really like this one. It's more like weird fiction than like literary fiction. The rest of its stories are very literary fiction. But yeah, so this is about a young man who lives with his sister and his cousin. Both of them are high school dropouts because they have kids. And his aunt, he's the sole breadwinner of the family, and he's a stripper. They live in like a really dodgy, low-income area, and one day they're all out and they come home to find his aunt who's been killed. And they're all devastated because she was one of the nicest women they knew. She was selfless, She was loving, she was kind, she was caring, she always put other people's needs before hers, and that's why she's always like been where she is. So this story is about her dying and through post-death dissatisfaction coming back to life, and she's very unhappy at that point and ready to take on the world because she was bitter and didn't do anything about it when she was alive. She also becomes like telekinetic but is also a zombie. Anyway, it's a really cool story. Sea Oak is your best bet out of all of these, I would say. The overarching theme of this book would have to be masculinity and all its facets, in how like all the characters ricochet between being insecure and being very confident into feeling inadequate, but at the same time seeing how they think that the world owes them something. This is not particularly a point of view that I'm a fan of. It was also written by a white man, but it's very intricate and it's very funny as well, and you can see how masculinity plays differently in its toxicity and its insecurities and all of that in all these people who are of different ages, from different backgrounds, in different relationship statuses, which also makes the world of a difference, it would seem. That's, I would say, the overarching theme of the book. I overall was not super impressed with the book. There were some hits and misses for me, but a lot of it, like the narrative and the sort of story, started getting a bit repetitive. I wouldn't necessarily recommend buying the whole book, or I'm sure you could just look them up online and you'll find it. Maybe read this book if you've never read American literary fiction. I think George Saunders is a good place to start.
Yeah.
Thanks, guys.